Welcome to the APF Records podcast. I'm your host James Kidd, and I'm very much looking forward to getting this podcast and all the amazing bands on APF Records into your ears across the coming months of 2021 and beyond. APF Records is an independent record label based in Manchester in the northwest of the UK, housing some of the finest purveyors of heavy riffs from the UK underground scenes. With over 50 releases from a roster of 30 bands, APF Records is the source for premium riffage. Each episode will feature guests from an APF band who have an upcoming release on the label, and we'll be talking about that release, life on the road, studio stories, and how they've been staying sane during the pandemic. Now you're all up to speed, let's introduce our very special guests on this APF podcast. And it is a APF podcast first. We have all the members of a band for the very first time on the APF podcast. We have all three: Andy, Daniel, and Jack from Gandalf The Green. Big it up. Now Andy's really hungover today, so you know I did say I wasn't going to use the air horn, but he demanded it. So what can I say? All right, gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. I think it's the first for you guys. We've not had you guys on before. Where are you all based?
Generally just scattered around West Yorkshire. We keep kind of moving. We used to say we were from Huddersfield, but we've all kind of moved around now. Jack's about to move.
Yeah, I'm about to move to Bradford. So
I believe at the time you guys held the record for quickest signing to APF Records. I seem to remember it was literally like a matter of days.
It was hours.
One day, hours.
Hours, wow.
It were Fieldy said I sent it to him while he was at work. He was like, "Oh, I'll listen in a few hours," and I was expecting him to just be like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm not interested." But then after a few hours, he started messaging me, being like, "Oh, message me back as soon as you can. I need to talk to you." And then he's sending loads of little devil emojis and stuff, and then that was it. It was just like a case of a few hours until he listened to it, and then
awesome.
Yeah. I just remember with Jack when he was relaying this all to us, because he was like the one point of contact, and then he just keeps going, guys, I think he likes it. And I'm sat at work just checking my phone, like, what's going on?
Hitting refresh, like, ooh. You've not been around for a huge while on APF, but I mean, how long had you been going for before you joined up with the label?
I think it was 3 years before we joined up. I think 3 years.
So you've been going for about 3 years before you joined up. Okay. So what led you all to start playing together then? Might we know you from some other bands on the scene as well, like either like side projects or previous stuff?
Probably won't know us from any of us. No, you won't know us in this scene, definitely not. But it started just with me kind of learning guitar and getting really into stuff like Caius and Sleep and whatnot. And then I was like, oh, well, I want to just start writing some songs. And then me, Danny and Jack had all been in a band before. So I was just like, well, you know, just get some mates together and just put it together. We did start with a drummer as well. We used to be a 4-piece. I think it was 2017, 2018. We just swapped it around, and instead of being on guitar as Jack used to be, he then moved to playing drums.
Gotcha. Okay. For the good folks out there that might not be hip to yourselves at the moment, when was your release? Because you've just had the one on APF, if I remember rightly.
Yeah,
we had, yes.
We did an EP. I can't remember how long was that ago now. Was that 4 years or 5 years this year?
Back end of 2016, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about 4.5 years ago, I think.
Okay, cool.
Oh, wait, no, 5.5 years? Is my maths up?
So that was your first EP basically, and then then the follow-up came out on APF Records, yeah?
Yeah, in March 2019.
2019. Yeah, I think that was when I caught you guys. Wasn't long after you'd signed with the label.
Was it Revolution Festival?
I think so. Yeah, it was one of the many kind of all-dayers that was going on at Rebellion at the time.
Well, we got signed the week before, so we kind of timed it so that we'd kind of get a couple of weeks. I think we were a couple of weeks before, and then we released a track a week before Revolution, and then we kind of did that just to hype that up because it was first time in Manchester. And we knew it'd be kind of a big gig if we did it right.
Yeah, I seem to remember you went down pretty well as well. I remember being stood at the back, just going.
That's for you. So.
Oh, thanks, man.
There's one thing for sure. You guys move a lot of air. You make a lot of noise for a 3-piece.
Yeah, I remember that show actually because when I was sound checking my guitar, the sound guy from the other end of the venue, who was sound checking Witch Tripper at the time, shouted over us, like, "Shut the fuck up!"
Yeah, I've been there. Like, mate, you've got more beef than the PA. Can you calm down? We'll do a little retrospective kind of thing on your back catalogue sort of thing. So obviously you got this first EP, then you got the album that followed up. So let's start with the EP. What was that called?
King of the Ashes.
King of the Ashes. And how many tracks did you have on that one?
Was it 5?
5
I think
tracks.
it was 5, but one of them were an interlude.
Okay, cool.
So like 4 actual tracks.
Yeah, well, like a proper EP then, sort of none of this copping out with 3 tracks and calling it an EP.
Well, it's 32 minutes long, I think it clocks in at. So I think technically it's an LP, but
yeah.
we didn't want to brand it as that.
Fair play. Yeah, that's pretty long for an EP. Fair play.
Yeah. Did
you guys self-release that one, or did you put it out on a label?
Self-released, just dropped it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything were done in Andy's bedroom at time. He lived in like a student house. He had a big room with like a big bay window.
Yeah.
And you could kind of fit the kit in there, and we did everything in there. Although I think we recorded.
We didn't do drums in there.
Yeah, we practiced there, but the guitars, bass, vocals were done there, but drums were done at Huddersfield Uni.
Right,
and we kind of just did it for free, so we just did it all self-released.
Yeah.
So I was friends with a bunch of music tech students, so I managed to just kind of be like, "Can I get a session?" And I think they used it for coursework or something.
Yeah, useful dudes, those music tech guys.
With the latest single, that was again a guy who was like, "Oh, well, I need a band to just do a song." It's like the longer the song, the better. So we're like, we have just the ticket. And yeah, he released that as part of his final year coursework, and then just handed all the raw files to us to mix. So we ended up comparing our 2 mixes, and they just sound completely different.
Oh yeah,
it's really interesting to hear the difference. Yeah.
Whose did you prefer? Or can't you say for diplomatic reasons?
No, we picked mine.
fair. So did you do any physical distribution? You know what I mean? Did you knock up any CDs? Was it all like kind of sort of handmade, burned them on your own PC, or did you get some like repro done from the plant, or was it just digi?
Just digital for the first one.
Cool. Yeah, sometimes it's the best way, man. You can reach a lot of people and for like minimal input, like money wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't cost us a penny to do any of it. I don't think we spent a thing doing that first EP.
No, we didn't.
Literally, it was all profit. Nice.
All profit. Then released it for free and just took donations, which actually people were quite generous with. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that if you put stuff up like pay what you feel, usually people are pretty generous, which is was quite heartening, especially like when it's easy to get so much stuff for free as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So you had like 4 tracks and an interlude on that one then. So were they all like separate entities, or was there kind of like an overarching theme between the songs? Any kind of like, I don't want to say concept album, but you know what I mean? Because there's some certain connotations with that still. But is there like any kind of like tie-ins between the songs where they're all linked, or are they just kind of like separate entities?
Not for that first EP, no. It was just kind of coming up with ideas. Let's make a faster song, let's make a slower, longer song. Let's just that kind of idea. Yeah, and just threw the lyrics together about whatever seemed relevant at the time.
Yeah, fair. Are you guys happy to play a track off of each one?
Yeah.
Because one of the things I'm trying to do in this kind of like series where we're doing a retrospective is to sort of like take a track from like the early days and then take a track from the most recent release, and like people can see how you've developed, sort of thing.
I was going to say, what song would you guys suggest? Because obviously the one that we kind of think of as our standout track from that first EP that we still regularly play is it's 11 minutes long.
Right.
And it does best capture the band's sound, if you get me. Like it was definitely in that vein of things to come. Yeah. But again, it's a very long track. If you wanted to show like a lot of progression, maybe something like The Right or Old Toby. and then we can compare it to A Billion Faces, and it would be quite different. What do you fancy, boys?
That sounds good to me. I'd say probably Variety is the one where it shows the most change.
Mm. Yeah. And it's the first song that we ever did, which is kind of a nice one. It's where it all started.
All right, so by now then, our listeners are probably wondering what you guys sounded like to start with. And what we're trying to do on these kind of retrospective episodes is take a song from your early days and then take a song from the most recent release and show folks how you've progressed. We're going to take a track from the very first release, the EP. Now, I know you guys are known for having some pretty lengthy tunes. So how long is this one?
6 minutes.
6 minutes. Yeah. Oh, so this is pretty much a grindcore track for you guys then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's fast as well.
Yeah. Oh, fair play. So this is a short one from the boys. So we're going to go with the very first track off the first EP, King of the Ashes, and the track is called The Right. Check it out now.
Judgment from this holy
Gandalf The Green with The Right. That was the very first track off their first release, the EP King of the Ashes. Make sure you go and check that one out if you get the chance. And we're going to move on to some more questions now. So we're going to go on to your more recent release then, your first release with us on APF. Tell us a little bit about that one.
So that's a song that kind of came about over a very long time. It started off originally about 8 minutes long, and it was just me recording a little demo whilst I lived way over in Harrogate, miles away, and demo in my computer. And then I brought it to the rehearsal room, and we played it live a couple of times. Then it seems to be every time we played it, it just got a bit longer, and we added a bit more to the end, and let's draw that part out a little more. And then, it topped out at 13 and a half minutes by the time we finished it.
Wow.
And it's kind of just supposed to be a bit of every kind of facet of our sound put into one long song. So you've got like a bit of gentle stuff, you've got the big riffs and whatnot, and then like loads of screechy feedback and Jack screaming into the microphone with a ton of delay on it and whatnot, and then a big kind of breakdown ending, and a bit of everything.
So that was basically just a massive epic by the sound of things, spanning a whole range of sounds, a whole, like, not necessarily genre spanning, but certainly like a showcase of what the band's kind of capable of, like you say. So again, with the recording process with that one, like obviously a lot of the folks that listen to this podcast are sort of musicians or techs, and there's always an interest in how you guys like achieved the sound, what sort of gear you used, where you recorded. So did you record that with anyone that we might know, any studios that we might have heard of before on this podcast?
Huddersfield University.
Yeah.
Again.
Okay. Again, went back.
Done for free.
Again.
Yeah.
Marvelous. Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
We just managed to get a bigger room and more resources to use on it, I suppose. So had more options with it.
I was going to say, because it's based in Huddersfield as well, I think they have like a sponsorship or something with Matamp. So they have so much Matamp equipment at that uni, it's ridiculous. And so we got to make this big wall of amplifiers and whatnot. So we took a bunch of promo shots with it.
Of course. With the following release then that you did, the more recent one, have you taken any kind of new directions, new influences, new ingredients that you're throwing into the mix with that one compared to the first release?
All of the above.
All of the above, yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. So what kind of changes have you made?
I think it's just more like everything we were trying to do before. It's just closer to that. It's a little bit more of what we were doing before, a bit better.
Yeah.
I don't want to say to the extreme, but like say if we were doing something softer, we'd try and make it softer than what it was. If we were trying to do something heavier, we'd try and make it heavier and just like a bit more varied.
I get you. Progress, get on more to that sound that you had in your heads when you started, kind of thing.
Yeah. It was also helped a lot by the fact that we just accumulated a lot more equipment. When we were first recording that, the first EP, we were doing it all in my bedroom. We had one guitar head, pretty much a guitar head, a big muff, and a 20-pound delay pedal. And then when we came to doing A Billion Faces, we'd accumulated loads of cabs, loads of amp heads, and just a ton of pedals. So it was, and we tuned his guitars down from C down to F. Just decided to take everything just to a bigger extreme.
Yeah, just go wild with it. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, sound. So yeah, at this point, normally I'd be asking you kind of, in an ideal world at least, I'd be asking you what shows you've got coming up where we can catch some tunes, buy some merch, drink a beer, all that kind of good shit. But, that's a bit flopped now. Whilst we've got a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, it's still hard to tell what Boris and his chums have got in store for us with their restrictions and all that sort of stuff. So, it's pretty hard to promote yourselves without shows and keep up appearances, keep the momentum up, stay in people's faces and that kind of thing. Are you doing anything at the moment to kind of keep that momentum and that presence?
We haven't been for a long time, but funnily enough, now just in the last couple of weeks or so, it really has started picking up. Now there's the roadmap. I've noticed every promoter suddenly like foaming at the mouth to start booking shows.
Oh, totally. I've seen a lot of bravery, like just stuff being booked for like early May, and I'm like, ooh.
Not quite that optimistic, but we've got a couple booked in back end of July.
Okay, awesome. Where are they?
We've got one in Preston on, I think, is it the 26th with Conan and Swamp Coffin?
I think it's 25th, but we should double check. Anyway.
And then the weekend before that, we've got we're playing Bradford with Slamatics.
Oh, amazing! Awesome, two incredible bands.
Absolutely, yeah. We've looked out.
Yeah, no, I don't know the Slamatics too well, but I know the Conan lads. Well, I know Chris and John, both lovely chaps. I've not met the current drummer, I don't think. All right, so yeah, you got any kind of like videos planned, or any special merch, any live streams or anything like that you might have in mind for the fans?
We've got nothing really planned. Yeah, there's nothing in the pipeline for. Oh, go on, sorry, Denny.
We're trying to work our way towards a new batch of merch and some new designs and stuff, so that there's at least something to tie everyone over until the next musical release.
Awesome. All right. I guess we can check that out on your Bandcamp when it's available. Yeah. Awesome. What's your Bandcamp URL, by the way? What's your address?
It's just Gandalf The Green at .bandcamp.com.
Right. So how have you all been staying sane over lockdown? I'm guessing you're all probably missing shows like the rest of us. And what kind of non-musical shenanigans have you been up to keep things interesting for yourselves?
So many video games.
I was going to say, yeah.
I know the feeling.
I have become an absolute just basement dwelling neckbeard over the lockdown. It's the only thing that's kept me going.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked like maybe 2 months since last February because I'm a chef, so I've been furloughed for like the entire time. So yeah, I'm starting to crawl up the walls and everything here.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken me a year, but I'm finally sick of it now. You know what I mean? What about you, Jack?
It's kind of just been same for me. I mean, not like obviously not going to gigs and stuff, but I'm still working. I still go like fishing a lot and doing a lot of outdoorsy stuff, but just not really with any other people or maybe one other person or whatever, and playing video games and stuff. So I didn't really miss shows as much as what I thought I would. Like, it's been a kind of nice break. Like, all right, yeah, it's shit, but I'm not really missing out per se because nothing can happen.
Yeah,
so I can always go to them again when, you know.
I think that's been a really underappreciated thing in the lockdown, is that there's no FOMO. You never feel like, you know, I'm missing out on this or whatever because nothing's happening.
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone, like, I know we're doing this on Zoom, so it's kind of ironic, but, you know, everyone kind of got Zoom fatigue fairly quickly after the first 2 or 3 months of lockdown.
Yeah.
Bless them, like a lot of the Manchester lot were very kindly inviting me to like Zoom parties with like 20 or 30 of them, because they were all like, well, we're going to try and keep our routine as much as we can, in as much as, well, let's all get shit-faced on the weekend. But because we can't meet up and do it, let's do it on Zoom. But then you've got like 30 drunk northerners all trying to talk all over each other. And it's not getting real fucking intense real fucking quickly.
Yeah, it's not the same, is it, when you can't like pull off to different smaller groups and stuff?
No, that's it.
It's just chaotic.
Being in a band, writing, rehearsing, recording, all that kind of stuff that comes with being in a band, it's a challenge in itself. You know, it presents its own challenges just, you know, in a regular kind of environment. But in the last year, with all the restrictions in place, what kind of new challenges have you found as a band? How have you kind of worked around it to be able to, you know, continue sort of like writing music or jamming or rehearsing and all that sort of stuff?
We haven't been able to practice for like over a year in person now. We've just over the last few months started like trying to find a way around with like doing it online, but it's still quite difficult because obviously it's not instant, if that makes sense. There's still a lot of hurdles there. But yeah, we're just like I said, we're just trying to work our way around the whole not being allowed in the same room as each other. And
one good thing is that our recording process, or our writing process rather, is it lends itself quite well to being locked down. So it's always kind of just been me sat at my computer just writing in riffs and then programming some drums to it and whatnot. And then I'm like, hey guys, I've got a demo. What do you think? So writing wise, it's not been as good because I obviously can't take it to the rehearsal room and then, you know, people will be able to chip in or will be able to chop things about. But it's been a good excuse to tweak what we already had and, you know, rewrite this and, you know, just get good sounding demos together.
Yeah, so just time for a bit of admin, a bit of kind of polishing up some old stuff, getting it ready, that kind of thing. Awesome. All right. What have you guys been listening to during lockdown? Have you discovered any hidden gems, or have you been going like back over old stuff?
I've been exploring quite a bit myself. Yeah. I've been really getting into shoegaze, actually.
Oh yeah.
So I've gotten like massively into bands like Nothing, Holy Fawn, True Widow as well. But lately I've just been binging Holy Fawn. I've pretty much listened to nothing else in the last week.
Got you. Yeah, I can't say I know a lot of shoegaze, to be honest with you. I've worked with a couple of shoegaze bands in my van driving days, but yeah, it's never really a genre I've explored. Although they do seem to have some potentially sentient pedal boards.
So you've seen that Hard Times article as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's what I love about it, though. It's just abuse of effects.
Oh,
and,
totally.
It's kind of it's creeped into my songwriting a bit as well, where I've just been like, why don't I just use a bit more reverb? This could work with a delay on it.
Yeah, I've been enjoying playing with delay a little bit lately, and it's like catnip for guitarists, totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan, what about you? What have you been checking out over the lockdown musically?
You first, Danny.
Oh, thank you. I've just been like, I've been gravitating a lot towards like American emo, and then some I don't know what you'd class it as, but Ken Mode, a band from Canada, has really just been dominating my listening at the moment. And they just do like, I mean, every album's really weird and different. It gravitates around punk a lot, but then like some of their albums are just totally out there. And yeah, and then also recently I've just found an artist called Void Dweller, which is like weird noise rap with like some mathcore influences, and I've just been all over the place, honestly. It's been an interesting time.
When is your music not all over the place?
Fair point.
What about you, Jack?
I don't know. It's been a weird one. Past couple of years, I've just listened to less and less metal or heavier music, and then all of a sudden I just stopped, and pretty much the entirety of lockdown, it's just been country. Like since well before that, I just listened to loads of country and western stuff. And
oh, nice.
There's a couple of channels on YouTube. There's Gems on VHS, and what's the other one? Western as Fuck. And they have like more
Western
modern artists. It's like more modern artists and some folk punk artists and stuff. And but I don't know. I think they do really cool videos and like live performances of artists in really weird places and stuff. But then I don't know. Recently, I've been trying to get back into listening to heavier stuff, especially since we'll be going back onto playing gigs and stuff soon. And it'd be kind of weird to not have any of that influence there. So, but I've not been listening to really any doom though. Like it's been a lot of like I don't know, metalcore and post-hardcore and stuff, and things that I like used to listen to.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna start like what I first got when I first got into heavy music, and kind of work my way back through and go over all my old influences.
Retracing your steps. That's quite
regressing.
Cool.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to go back sometimes and check out that old stuff, see how it stands up, and see if it's aged well. Because there's some stuff that like I've gone back to and I'm like, damn, this sounds like it could have got released yesterday. And then there's other stuff that shall remain nameless that you Corn that you listen to, and you're like, what the fuck? What was I thinking? Seriously.
Then again, looking back, my first ever band was at one point going to cover Lost Prophets.
Oh.
And it was only about a year later that came out. It's like, oh, we dodged a bullet that we never played that.
So this one's come from a good mate of mine, Sam Orr, the guitarist in 1968. He says, how much was your last royalty check and what did you spend it on?
I think we've received a royalty check.
No.
We just get trickles in from Bandcamp where someone threw us a $5 or something.
Yeah.
So I probably spent it on like a bag of chips or something.
Yeah, I love those emails where it's like, yeah, your Bandcamp payout today, lads. You got 18p.
Yes.
Pass the champers.
And a few hundred people listened.
Obviously, there's three of you, so there's potentially going to be three different answers here. So we'll go one by one. So, what was the first album you ever had that you were like, yeah, this is mine, and the first one that you ever bought?
Oh God, I'm gonna have to Google it because I can't remember the name of the song. It was a single. It was oh man. Is it just
I can go if you want.
Yeah, please do.
Andy, you go whilst Dan's having a look.
Yeah, whilst you've got the tapping of the keyboard. So I still absolutely jammed the fuck out of this, and I'm really happy it was my first album. It was Kaiser Chiefs' Employment.
Fair play.
And the cool thing is because we, up until the lockdown, we were rehearsing in Leeds. We rehearsed in the room they wrote that album.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's Old Chapel Studios, and yeah, I was just in there. I was like, there is some magic in here.
Yeah, it's cool, man. There's always like a weird kind of, I don't know, like an aura to a place that's had a lot of special stuff happen in it. You know, I've been in like one or two like fairly epic studios where cool stuff's been recorded, and you can almost feel the energy seeping out of the walls a little bit.
Yeah.
Could probably scrape some really sketchy stuff out the mixing desk as well.
Yeah, that old picture of please don't get the cocaine in the faders.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what gives it the sound, man. Like maybe it's that stank that's in the like fallen down into the circuit board that gives the unit its sound. Have you found it yet, Dan?
I haven't, but I can change my answer to an actual album because I know what my first album was.
All right, then, go on. Let's have that.
It's embarrassing, though. It was Steps' Greatest Hits was my first one.
Yes!
I used to like just listen to pop, and then like I just sort of slowly transitioned to soft rock, and then somehow I've made my way all the way across to the spectrum now, and I'm at doom. And
quite a journey then.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Fair play. All right, Jack, what about you?
I remember the first physical thing I had were Creedence Clearwater Revival single. Have you ever seen The Rain and Bad Moon Rising? I've still got that. It's downstairs now, actually. My mum gave me it because it was hers, and then over time my mum and dad just gave me their vinyl to listen to. Album-wise, though, that I actually bought for myself, it was probably either a Foo Fighters one or a Kings of Leon one when I was probably like in primary school, still probably like 6 or 7, maybe 8. Well, kind of buying stuff, you know, like I'd ask my mum and dad to buy it for me, but it'd be like the first kind of things that I'd be choosing to buy myself.
Yeah. Oh, wicked, man. Yeah, most people don't get into like picking their records much later on in life, so fair play.
I was kind of pushed by my dad, not pushed per se, but he was really into it, so he'd be like, oh, this is really good, and this is really good, so yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Like, I mean, it's always good when you've got parents with a good record collection. Like, that's definitely a good thing. But like, when you've got ones that are like they've got the enthusiasm about it as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just that like they've got a pile of stuff that they've accumulated. There's actually a passion there. Like, you know, they're kind of helping direct you to good stuff. Is always pleasant to see. So when did you guys like get the bug for being musicians? Were there any entertainers that inspired you growing up? And like, what was the kind of like the turning point where you were like, yeah, riffs, that's what I want to fucking do with my life?
I'm sorry for this is ridiculous. So I was kind of, I liked music, you know, I wasn't properly into it. And then I played a lot of Guitar Hero. So I was just drumming along on Guitar Hero. And then one day I had a friend who said, right, we're going to make a band and you're going to play drums. And I was like, I could give it a go. And then I sat down and just like attempted to play some Metallica songs that I'd learned from the game. And yeah, I could kind of get there. It translates quite well, just playing Guitar Hero drums to a real kit. And then from there, it just kind of kept going. I just was in bands. Then after a while, I was like, I want to write my own stuff. Picked up a guitar. Then was like, I prefer it when it's tuned down a bit. So I like the sound of like Caius, for example. And then I was chasing Caius's guitar tone and saw a guy recommend Electric Wizard. And then it kind of just went down that rabbit hole. And then I became absolutely hell-bent on fuzz pedals and amplifiers.
Jack, what about you, mate? When did you get the bug for being a musician?
Really from a young age. My mum and dad always had like music channels on that had music videos on and always playing music and stuff. So I saw a wide range really early on, and my dad always had stuff like metal stuff on. So I'd say people like Lemmy, Ozzy and Tony Iommi and stuff. It was definitely more guitarists and vocalists rather than drummers. I was never interested in playing drums up until a later age. Then at that point I knew I was really into it and I wanted to do it, but it wasn't really a realistic thing. And then when I was in primary school, maybe like year 2, I think I was 6 at the time, I was always like tapping on table and stuff, and it wasn't like a drum kind of thing. I was just agitated and tapping, and one of my teachers said at a parents' evening to my mum and dad, like, oh, have you ever thought about getting him a kit? Like, I know it's loud. And whatever, but it might help him get his frustration out in some way. So they got me a junior kit, and then that's where it started.
Awesome.
And I got to high school, wanted to do guitar lessons, but I didn't have a guitar, but I could do drums without owning my own kit. So it kind of that's what solidified me playing drums, really, in a way.
Wicked. What about you, Dan?
Quite a lot like Andy. I started with Guitar Hero and everything, and I said I wanted to buy a guitar, and my dad and my uncle, who is a musician, took me out, and my uncle was just like, "Oh, you don't want to play guitar. Everyone plays guitar. Nobody plays bass. And if you want to be in a band all the time, you want to be a bassist." So I was like, "Yeah, do you know what? You go on." So I picked up a bass, and then like from there, like pretty soon after I started playing bass, I joined a band with Andy in high school and another person, and then from there I was just like constantly in bands. Like I think at one point I was in 5 bands because I was just like, I'm going to be in all these bands, and one of them's going to stick, and one of them's going to work. And none of them did, but I mean, it was fun.
Definitely a good way to earn your stripes if you're a bassist, is just be in a million bands. I mean, and it's almost inevitable as well, because I don't know about like round your ends, but bassists are like fucking hen's teeth.
Not as hard to find as drummers, I don't find. Finding drummers is fucking horrendous.
Yeah, drummers are always in 3 bands, like without fail, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm in another band on drums because drums is my main instrument, and the amount of people that come to me like, "Oh, I'm looking for a drummer. Do you want to play for us?" I'm like, I'm already in 2 bands. I can't.
Yeah, it's like I will go deaf within 4 weeks if I'm in the studio like 5 nights a week. Fuck that. Let's hear another track from you guys then. What have you got for us behind door number 2, lads?
So this one's A Billion Faces. It's our big long song and the only one that we've released on APF Records.
Just how big and how long is it? Because I've already warned the folks out there in podcast land to prepare themselves for some serious beef.
It's 13 and a half minutes long. So quite an epic. And it's just a big old punch in the face with fuzz, but then also goes really gentle at points as well.
All right, so we're going to take you on a journey, and we're going to check out A Billion Faces. Let's go. All right, so we're back, and this is the APF Records podcast with our special guests today. We've got every single member from Gandalf The Green. We've got Daniel, we've got Jack, and we've got Andy. This is a APF Records first. So we've just given you a thorough bludgeoning with their epic A Billion Faces track, which is their currently only release on the label. Hopefully we'll be seeing some more from you guys soon. But right now, I think 13 minutes is pretty fucking hefty dose for those of us out there in podcast land. So we can get all of your stuff from the gandalfthegreen.bandcamp.com website, I'm assuming. Is that right?
You can, yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, anyone wants to go and check out some more of this demonic riff soup that these boys are creating, then that's the link you need to be checking out. Obviously, there's a couple of there's plenty of links for these boys on the APF Records website as well. Make sure you go and check that out, and all the other bands on there as well. Where do you guys see yourselves kind of going? There's a bit of a job interview question, this one. Where do you guys see yourselves going in the next 5 years? What have you got planned? Is there anything any kind of big ticks on the bucket list you want to tick off? Any festivals you've got your eye on that would be like a dream to have on the CV, that sort of thing? Any bands you want to play with?
Well, on that last question, actually, we are ticking off a couple of those ones because our biggest influence has always been Conan. So we've got that one coming up in July at a support slot, which, that's a bit of a, not so much a bucket list thing, but, it's something definitely that was on the tick list for me, was to get to play with Conan.
Yeah, wicked.
I think another one that we all would agree on as well is playing Bloodstock, and also, doing a UK tour, because we've never toured. We've played down in Plymouth, but we just played the one show and came back. And then a show abroad as well.
But I mean, up until now, we've always kind of been a band that just has fun and sees what comes of it, kind of thing. Up until recently, we've never actually set out like a decent 5-year plan or all like that. So apart from those kind of things, I don't know what you would all kind of say, like, a couple of bands, abroad stuff, a UK tour. It'd be nice to do his album, but obviously we are doing that soon.
Just get that out finally. Been writing that since 2018, and the songs are all like what started out writing in 2018 is now completely different. I think there's one song that's even remotely similar to what it started off as. Obviously, because it's been in the pipeline for 3 years. But just getting that out, I think, is the main priority now, and then just play a bunch of shows the moment it's out.
Yeah, good call. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's hard to look too far into the future at the moment when it's literally we've just got to get back to walking before we can run, haven't we? Certainly on the live aspect of things.
I think we'd probably want to start with the UK a bit more, tour up and down there, and then if we can manage to get some traction and we'll manage to get places in the UK, start moving out further into Europe, which would be amazing. That's kind of a thing that is a worry, is Brexit. I think luckily it won't be right now that we tour Europe. There's going to be probably a lot of other people who are going to test those waters first, and we'll be able to find out how bad or good it is. But I don't think it's ever going to be easier, post Brexit. It sounds like there's, possibly some visa issues and things like that. But other people tread those waters first.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think hopefully by the time we start doing it, there'll be some actual like basis for it. There might be some companies that spring up that might assist you in how to navigate the entire legal process. Because at the moment, I don't even have the rules even been set out yet. I don't think there's anything in stone.
I keep seeing stuff, but then it keeps changing. So, it's almost like a COVID briefing. What was the case on Friday is not the case the next Friday. But I mean, like what you said about, there might be kind of like companies or entities spring up to help you kind of get through the red tape and that sort of stuff. Right? I think you're right. We might start seeing kind of like new aspects of the business in the industry spring up.
Speaking of things springing up, though, I think one hopeful note on this is that you mentioned that there's been a lot of independent venues and things that have closed down, which is obviously a big shame, but that kind of does create a bit of a vacuum. And as with anything business related, people tend to fill that vacuum. So maybe, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that a load of new venues will come about, you know, and try and do things differently. And it might be quite an exciting time in that we'll suddenly start to see lots of new places to go. I'm hoping.
No, definitely. That's something I would like to see as well.
Yeah, and I mean, initially you'll have that surge of people anyway, so any gigs that are booked are just going to be fucking rammed for at least a little period of time. You know, I imagine it'll kind of snowball. I imagine people will go to stuff because they've not had the chance to maybe discover something that they don't usually, you know, get a chance to see. And I don't know, maybe every scene will kind of, you know, pick themselves back up in a way and snowball from where they left off.
It's a big question mark, really, isn't it?
It's certainly hard to call it, but it's always interesting to hear like people's predictions. All right, so that's about all the time we've got for today then, folks. However, we are going to do our little giveaway as usual for the listeners out there. So the boys have very kindly agreed to donate a copy of A Billion Faces on CD and a digital copy of the EP King of the Ashes. So all you've got to do is answer the following question. Where did Gandalf the Green start out? Was it A, Wakefield, B, Leeds, or C, Huddersfield? You know the process by now. Go and find the event page for this podcast on our Facebook APF pod. Drop your answer on the poll and we will select a winner at random. All right, anything else, guys, before that you want to do a shout out for before we go?
I think that's all good. All covered.
All right, lads. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on board.
Thanks for having us.
I hope you have a good rest of Sunday.
You too, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too, man. Cheers for having us.
All right. Take care, fellas. Enjoy yourselves.